What's up with it? Bringing you the show live from H-Town, Texas. Is your boy, the People's Coach, Cornelius Cole. Um, Shout out to Sports for America for putting me on. Bad day, so I'm gonna go ahead and say Franco, a true legend, man. May he rest in peace. Franco Harris, great Pittsburgh Steeler. Wow, he was famous to me for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The immaculate reception. They showed that play tons of time, but he's a Hall of Famer. Didn't rush recently. I just want to put it at the thing about Franco, because I've been hearing stuff all day, and they said that he's the reason, he's what put the Steelers on the map, pretty much. Um, I just think he was one of those hard runners up there with Peyton or whatever. So whenever I would see footage of film or plays of old games, I always just saw that steel curtain mentality on the offensive side of the ball. So um, let us take a moment, honor Franco Harris, and also condolences to it. But the tradition of the Steelers, it carried on. You think hard defense, solid coaching. They haven't had too many coaches there, but the biggest thing, the players, they seem to uh, uh, adopt that blue, steel mentality when you play in Pittsburgh. Is it just something that rubs off, or it's just a tone of things? But to get so many players that play that way and understand the Steeler way, the tradition of the Steeler way is great, and one of those that really started it has left. It's gonna be 50 years since the immaculate reception. And also, coming up on the 50-year anniversary of such a play, back and forth whether it was a catch or whether it was not a catch. Hey, people, the play happened. It was counted as a catch. At this point, so why not just celebrate the special play? It was a special play, and it went down the way it was supposed to go down. At least in my eyes, that's the way I look at it. Um, also, it's the holiday. Yeah, live from what's up with it, Texas. And now speaking of Texas, man, I'm doing Cowboys. Let's go on and get it. Blew a game. So this upcoming game with the Eagles ain't as monumental as it would have been, or ain't as it ain't much at stake like it would have been if the Cowboys had handled business, with the Jaguars, but couldn't put the Jaguars away. Um, I wonder why we can't finish teams. Um, we had a problem putting the Jaguars away. Had a big lead, was up 27-10, was up big throughout the game, came back, lost the lead, came back, took the lead, and still ended up losing the game in overtime. I've told y'all guys, as a diehard Cowboy fan, for me, it's about the dysfunction. It's clear that Mike McCarthy is not solely his team, like many coaches on teams. It's clear that Kellen Moore calls whatever offensive plays he wants to call. It's clear, um, coordinator. I mean, defense let us down. Offense, but under positions. I'm not talking about the interception in overtime because that ball bounced off Noah Brown's hands. Sometimes accountability goes where it goes. It's like Noah Brown got to catch the ball, and he was having a pretty decent game touchdown wise. He scored like two, but catching that first down would have made all the difference. Or catching that ball, period, would have made a lot of difference. But it's the coaching right now. It's the offensive coordinator putting um, you put us in those, uh, like but throwing the ball, come on. But taking on so much responsibility, we're putting so much responsibility on the quarterback shoulders. Why would why would you throw a fun field? Uh, uh, um, Not a well thought out plan for the Cowboys as far as what they had going on. Got to get that together. Playoffs right around the corner. Who we gonna beat playing like that? And what playoff team we gonna beat playing like that? That's all I. That's all I would ask Dallas. And the defense keep feeling themselves, and yeah, to let a team drive downfield that quick is ridiculous. With little resistance, um, got to stop that. But on the other side of that, got to say, man, the Jaguars did their thing. I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence. He's looking right early. Yeah, Doug doing his thing. Doug teaching them a lot. Doug is short on the field. The confidence of all the players, all the way around, is all the way up. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Jacksonville Jaguars. In a couple of years, they might be contenders, or who knows? As soon as next year, they might be contenders. Who knows? This year, catch Tennessee and make it a dogfight for the AFC South. Because Tennessee on the slide, which that's another thing that's disappointing. They've lost like 3 or 4 in a row. They just keep losing. Um, they can't seem to get out of their own way. But that's what Tennessee is too one dimensional for me. It's like if you stop Derrick Henry, you stop the whole show. It's like that's it. Um, and in these years under Vrabel, why haven't they learned any more offense? I was asking that question once before, and it's starting to show up again. So if they stopping you now, you think you're gonna make that work in the playoffs, bruh? I mean, anything can happen, but at the same time, it's like uh, uh, you got to coming out of nowhere. It's like Tennessee is just 2-1. Um, Teams are understanding that hey, we can beat you because all we have to do is stop Derrick Henry. You don't trust. Well, when the coaching staff clearly doesn't trust the quarterback, then I think you play right into the defensive hands. It's like to the defense's hands, and that's what's happening with Tennessee. They just playing losing close games. None of the games are blowouts, so their defense is doing what they have to do, but their offense is not putting a point. You got to let them go downfield with the rock. You got to let him do what he must. But we'll come back to all the NFL, but World Cup action. Argentina ended up winning the World Cup on penalty kicks. Why should that even be a thing in the World Cup? Um, in my opinion, play. I know it's a long game or whatever, but in my opinion, they should change the rules. No penalty kicks to decide a World Cup championship. You should play until somebody drop or something. You should play until somebody scores a goal other than the penalty kicks. But hats off to the party, the celebration. They had like over 4 million people celebrating that win in Argentina. So huge deal with the soccer. You say it's not a huge deal. I mean, you see the championship parades for the U.S. teams. I bet you it's not 4 million people. So don't tell me that the other football doesn't have weight throughout the world because that's a lot of people, 4 million people. And while we're on the subject of millions and things like that, what about man? Spend 800 highlighting the contracts. They just picked up Alex Correa, giving him 315 mil for about I think it's a 12-year contract or something like that. And he had just had a contract 13 years for 350 million with the Giants, and that fell through uh, because uh, because a disagreement over the physical, over the examination by the doctor. So the Mets picked him up in one last year at about 35 million less, but hey, 315 mil, and also paying a pitcher like Verlander, man, was just on the championship squad, and now he's going to the Mets. Well, he's went to the Mets. He signed with the Mets for 80 something, like 86 million over 40 plus. So, you know, hey, it's never done before. It's a stuff let Verlander be. You know what I'm saying? Now we're in the now we're in the era of we're at that time of year of bowl game marathon. It's just bowl games all the time. There's so many bowls. I don't keep up with them all. I'm not, like I'm not sure who keeps up with every single bowl, but um, some of the bowls. Jimmy Kimmel has a bowl. Um, you know, uh, some of these people. I mean, some of these bowl games, like they have some of the most. They have a mayo mayonnaise bowl now. Why you would want to play in a mayonnaise bowl, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like it's too many bowls, but those are everybody be tuning in, when it's national championship time, pretty much. But I know it's football heads out there and college lovers out there to all these different bowls. I want to say it was Eastern Michigan and somebody, and Eastern Michigan did their thing, but it's just too many bowl games in my opinion. And it shows by when you have some like the names are getting ridiculous. It's getting to be so many balls now. Guess if it boosts, uh, uh if it raises ball games, like like what's the significance of the ball games, and why you gotta have so many, and are they really is it really lucrative to participate in ball games? So it looks, and but they've withdrawn. A lot of them have withdrawn from the bowl games. And the transfer portal is wide open, NFL draft, and elect not to play in the bowl games. And I totally understand it. If I'm getting ready to enter the draft, why hurt myself before a bowl game? It used to didn't be that way. People would just trust things to work out, but really, I guess because you can see every game now, you can see everything now. It does. It, it does seem to uh, 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 but yeah, um, you have to forgive me. I guess another spot where the Wi-Fi is not that strong. I don't. Yeah. Uh, wonder- Um, so you got a lot of bowl games that you can watch. Um, you know, else to explore. There's something else to explore. Whether they take the bowl, but it's interrupting my flow right now. Sorry about that. This Wi-Fi interrupting the flow. But as I was saying, enjoy the bowl games. Now, moving along, the New York Knicks are on the road. Ever since I talked noise about them, since then they won 8 in a row or something like that. Can they keep it going? 9, 10? But that still doesn't mean anything as far as it's a lot. The season not over with yet. They could just very easily lose 8 in a row. But I commend the Knicks for stepping up to the plate and doing anything. It seems like they finding that right chemistry. Not too much Julius Randle, not too much RJ Barrett, just the right mix of everybody. And it does seem like Bronson is starting to round into what he is. And then other news on the Knicks, they got hit with the tampering with the whole Jalen Bronson thing, bringing him over with his pops working there or whatever. So they just said, they lose a draft pick in 2025 or something like that. I don't know why it's not more immediate, but they lose a draft pick in 2025 or something. That's the price that they have to pay. And other prices, Sarver, they're selling Cleveland, the Phoenix Suns for a record $4 billion. It's a lot of backlash about that because it's like, hey, you invested 400 million and now you're gonna make $4 billion off something, and it's supposed to be a punishment. Him having to sell the team doesn't sound like a punishment to me. Sounds like he's gonna be $4 billion. Sound like him and his group gonna be $4 billion richer, and that's what it sounds like to me. There's no punishment in that. His bread, and then sail off into the sunset. And it's still an outcry of some execs that created hostile work environments are still allowed to work for the Phoenix Suns, as more stuff is being brought out by former employees and maybe even current employees. But I know former employees are saying that some of the execs are still there. So I don't know as far as guy profiting, or the team, the owner profited, and two, not cleaning house. So maybe they'll clean house of all the executives to start from scratch. Maybe the new owner will come through and clean house or whatever once the team's sold, once the sale goes into effect. But who knows? I want to take a moment and say shout out to Nerd Focus. Get your brain right, your game tight with Nerd Focus, the energy drink. Also, a shout out to myself. Check me out on the Sim Show. That's the Stimulate Your Mind show every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. iHeartRadio, Apple Music, tuned in. I'm all over the place. It's the People's Coach. Yours truly, Cornelius Cole. This diehard fan. So, things I'm talking about. NBA scoring is way up, and I'm talking total game totals. NBA scoring is extremely high this year. I think it's up like teams on the average 113, 114 points a game. So it's like good O, but no D. It's like, what happened to defense? Like, is it are we getting away from defense? We just saw like a week or so ago, Charlotte's head coach Clifford was basically put his team on blast because they weren't playing defense or whatever. But it's like, he challenged them to play defense, but it doesn't seem like anybody in the NBA is playing defense. No team is really playing lights out D right now. the boat, with the scores, with the scoring being up so high. It's so many 30-point scores this season. I think it's a direct result of no one really challenging each other and playing defense. Um, every game right now could potentially be a blowout or an all-star type game. I know this game nowadays is predicated on threes, so a lot of it has to do with teams jacking up a lot of threes, and if they miss those threes, then and the other team makes up, then the game's out of it's out of whack already. It's out of sorts already real early. But at the same time, it's like it's no excuse for I think defense is being put on the back burner. I think as uh as we as we go on, as we go forward, the NBA is starting to look, you're watching 7-foot players that can cross you up and can shoot the three. So they more on the perimeter than ever, getting away from the traditional game. And, it's kind of hard to defend on the perimeter uh, than it is to guard somebody down low, it seems like. So, because you can come off screens and, I wouldn't want to be the one to chase Steph Curry around. I tell you that. I wouldn't want to be the one to try to, you know, or Donovan Mitchell, picking them up at the half court and being put in isolation, killing it. But, I watched the game yesterday. I watched the Nuggets play the Grizzlies last night, and even though the Nuggets pretty much beat the brakes off the Grizzlies, Ja Morant puts on a good show. He had about 35 points, but for me, it was the passing of the Joker. Jokic is the truth with the rock. Like 7-foot guy, man, he can pass. If you haven't seen him play, people, man, the things that he can do to make a team better to set his teammates up. He's like a 7-foot center. I mean, he's a 7-foot guard out there. I mean, playing like making sure everybody's in the right place and then rebounding the way that he does. Everything just looks so effortless to him when he's out there on the court. He struggled a little bit scoring, but they didn't need him to score yesterday. He scored like 13 points, 13, 13, 13. Um, and historians say that only two other people did that, and that was Magic and Bird with the 13, 13, 13. Now, he's been playing the triple doubles, but that's that's Jokic's second straight triple double, though, like the way that he's playing ball. But will it take Denver anywhere? I don't think it'll take very far, in my opinion. But who knows? It might take Denver. They might get over the hump. They might get back to the Western Conference Finals. Like they were in the bubble. Um, who knows? Um, fall on the defensive end. I think he has the same when someone head up. I mean, but that's why you have team defense. So hopefully, teams start playing more defense. Uh, Event in the NBA. I don't mind the scoring. I mean, because that's what people pay to see. People say favorite players get off, but now you got so many players getting off. You got so many players getting off. The off-brand players off the game right now. Um, but hey, you got a lot of people. You got that's stepping up. Like a lot of names coming out of nowhere. And I'm gonna keep harping on the biggest thing that I see as far as the NBA right now. That expression, teamwork makes the dream work, applies strictly to the Utah Jazz for what they're doing and how they hanging in there. And then you're starting to see all these other teams start to come up. The Chicago finding a way to start, breaking wins, losing streaks, find a way to win games. And one team that I'm tired of being at the bottom is the Washington Wizards. I don't understand. They have enough talent. They have Porzingis, they have Kuzma, they have Bradley Beal, uh, three ballers over there, and they can't win games consistently. But they couldn't do that before. But it's like when are the Wizards going to do thing with the talent that they have? And not only them, but single digit wins, not getting many wins, like barely. If they did get double digits, they just reached it. But the last time I checked, the Charlotte Hornets, it's like Jordan as an owner has not done anything. And then, he has a coach like Clifford who coached the team before when they were a little bit successful, making the playoffs or something. This team was in the play-in last year, and now they've regressed. They've went the total opposite direction of what you thought they were going to be. I know injuries affect, but LaMelo Ball is you got to put some ballers around that guy, and I wonder why the greatest to play the game ever has a hard time finding talent to gambles that he's taking. I've talked about this a little bit before, but I'm going back to it because looking at their record, I was like, really, that's Charlotte's record? Like, whoa, they've lost over 30 something games already. Like, who does that? They're not really sound on any end of the court. I mean, they can put up some points, but they're not stopping anybody. It seemed like the coach, and I was wondering why the greatest basketball player ever, in my mind, can't find a coach that has that similar instincts that he had, or can't find a staff to put better players in the game. It's like, what's up with that, Mike? Yeah, I really wouldn't want effort is not there. Maybe they just not they want to put forth an effort. I mean, I don't know what it is about the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, which is different. The Rockets, they have a young nucleus and they're starting to play better basketball, and as the season's going on, they're getting better and better and better. Detroit took a blow. They lost one of their weapons. Cade kind of had, I think he's out for the season. So, different things are happening. But even the Orlando Magic, that's great. A young team like that is scrapping. And so, with some of the vets, I'm very disappointed in the vets on the Charlotte Hornets. They got some veterans. They're not just a young team. They are one of the youngest teams in the league, but they got some veterans over there that's really not bringing it, or maybe don't even want to be there. Something I know they're there, but sometimes to me it's just about effort, and they are not putting forth any effort to do anything different. And I feel bad for Michael Jordan. Poor boy with that, man. Poor boy with that. Like, Mike, hopefully in the near future you have a team that's competitive. Because since in the years that you taking over majority ownership, it just doesn't look great. Expected more. I think that's the expectations of most people, right? Like, those that were fans of Michael Jordan, root for him or whatever, want to see him do well as an owner. Not only that, but do well as a quote unquote minority owner, or want to see you thrive and at least get in the running for championships. Compete for like like you eventually work your career up and you started competing, but that was year 8 for you. Now you're on what, year 10 as a majority owner, somewhere in there. So when the Charlotte Hornets turn come, when are they going to be competitive year in, year out? Or will they ever be competitive year in, year out? Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait to see. And other things that I noticed is with the NBA that's trending is the fly giving away to more outlandish tactics. It's not even a flop to me no more. Some of the stuff I see these guys doing, the referees, that's always been a part of the game for certain players, but I'm seeing more and more of that. Then I'm seeing unnecessary antics by some of these guys when they want to get a foul call, and one of the biggest contributors to that, for his size and everything, is like Joel Embiid. Like, if you watch this guy, he's hilarious with the little bumps or whatever, and then he goes flying all over the court. I think some players are striving more for than they are about winning. And I think it'll catch up with you when it comes to the more meaningful games. I think those things I think play into each other. I think they all tie in to making your team stronger. I mean, stand up and take the charge. It's not just Marcus Smart. I see a lot of those guys flop. NBA flop is becoming up and be able to withstand. Shout out to the UT Longhorns being able to continue winning. I think they number 7 in the polls, in the basketball polls, despite losing their coach and having an assistant coach running things. Shout out to them to keep balling, man, keep pushing. Um, nah, NFL, NFL. Woo! It was some games this past weekend that were pretty good. Minnesota Minnesota's comeback on the Colts, huge comeback by points, the biggest comeback in history, um, in NFL history. It all boiled down to just how sorry the Colts really are. Like, um, I was all for the Jeff Saturday move, but it doesn't seem like that. Except besides that one game, I mean, they competing better, but that's it. It's like, but to lose a 33-point lead, it was 33-0 at halftime or whatever. Like you big, and then you lose that lead for an NFL franchise to lose a lead that big, no matter how sorry you are or whatever. That's got to be deflating to the players. And now he's benching. Now they're benching. Matt Ryan again, his second benching of the season. Is that it for Matt Ryan? I think the writing's on the wall for him too. I don't, I think Matt Ryan's done. I said that earlier, and I still think it's true. That he had nothing to do with him alone. He didn't have anything to do. Massive comeback, man. The Minnesota Vikings did that. I, for one, thought the game was over and was ready to talk noise about the Vikings. I'd be like, see, that's why you don't ride with them. I mean, they made mistake after mistake after mistake in that first half, and in the second half, it was the Colts who were making mistake after mistake after mistake, and they just couldn't. The Colts defense, which normally plays pretty good, just couldn't stop Minnesota. Minnesota got on the roll, so hats off to Minnesota for pulling that out. And everybody talk about the crazy game, man. Like the craziest thing I ever seen watching that game, watching that Raiders Patriots game. I never seen anything like that. Like, um, wow, Jacoby Myers throwing the ball. He threw the ball. He threw the ball right to Chandler Jones, who used to play for the Patriots, by the way. So that's a sweet moment. Chandler Jones, like okay, now I'm gonna stiff arm your quarterback and I'm gonna score. That stiff arm was something serious. I don't know if Mac Jones was going all out for the tackle anyway, but to take a stiff arm and not go all out for the tackle, shame on you. But at the same time, it was a play that was unnecessary. It wasn't like they were losing in the game. The game was tied up. Instead, so here's the thing: coaching. I always say coaching. See, that's when you think too much. Even now, the Patriots know they can say what they want to say. They would just try to run the clock off with a draw play, but you could have ran the clock out by taking a knee. Time coaching staff because you got to know better than that. And sometimes players react. Sometimes I'm not making excuses for players. It was like the dumbest play I ever seen. It wasn't very bright. It was like the craziest thing I ever seen. You know, but for Stevenson, who got pretty good yardage on the ground running. I don't understand why he just didn't fall down when he was about to get tackled. They can say what they want to say. They can say, "Hey, it was my fault." Steven said it was his fault because he didn't, he didn't have to lateral the ball. And Jacoby Myers said it was totally his fault. But I blame the coaches. It's like take a knee in that situation. Only one person touches that ball besides the center in that situation. That's the quarterback to take a knee. I bet you, they won't try to outsmart people again as far as that concept because they knew that what they were trying to do. They wanted to get a ball to Stevenson, who was having to see if he can run those guys over and if he could get far, if he could get to the end zone, take it. They knew what they were doing. I mean, the coaching staff won't even admit that much that that's what they were doing because it was evident you ran a draw play when you could have just took a knee. It was evident you were trying to get something out of it. Anyway, so the smartest coach out there, that's what the best coach. That's what he's reduced to right now. Players that don't understand the situation fall down. You may be having a different discussion. You're going to overtime and anything could happen, but they ain't even give themselves a chance to win. But big ups to Chandler Jones for taking advantage of the situation. Big ups to the Raiders for taking advantage of the situation. That was a game they definitely probably shouldn't have won. Actually, New England needed that game in the AFC playoff picture. But they may have cost them the playoffs right there. I wouldn't want to be cost. I wouldn't want that to cost me the playoffs. When you look at it right now, certain teams are already in. The Bills and Chiefs are already in. The Bengals. The Bengals are you can go ahead and count them. They in. So you got 3 teams in the AFC end. You got 4 teams in the NFC end. You got the Eagles at the top. Then you got the Minnesota Vikings. Then you got the San Francisco 49ers. And by default, all 3 of those teams won their way into the playoffs. Dallas gets in because the New York Giants to business. That was another interesting game. The Commanders. I picked the Commanders because I thought the Commanders would come out and fight, but then I saw the determination of Saquon Barkley and that boy number 5 Thibodeau. Man, like they really wanted it, and they really showed that they wanted it because they came out playing. They came out doing their thing, and the Giants got it done. I don't like either one of the teams, but it's like, okay, Giants, y'all helped us out by taking down the Washington Commanders, help my Cowboys out. So so we're in. So we know we at least got a slot. Whether it'll be the 5th spot or whether we slide from there, we'll just the rest of the season has. Lots of games are going to be coming up this week. You're gonna see a lot of good games this week. But before I get into some of those, recapping some of the games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing to the Cincinnati Bengals after having a 17-point lead. They were up big, and like they looked pretty good. Bucks looked pretty good the first half of that game, but in the second half, it was all Cincinnati. I think if Brady's not going to retire this year, when is he going to retire? Because he's not looking good at all, and it's not just even him. It was parts of that game where it was like, not the GOAT. He's never going to say that he gave, but it giving up. It like that whole roster just said, you know what, we done. And they still winning the division at 6-8. So, they probably gonna win that division at 8-9 or 7-10 or something. The way it's looking, they can't get out of their own way. They can't. They just like the Cowboys can't get their own way to get away. They don't have potent offense. They don't have anything on offense that's going any direction good. So that's why I don't have a lot of good things to say about the Tampa Bay Bucks right now, other than what a disappointment, what a letdown. And on the other side, the little whispers, the things that mass media starts as far as the little whispers of, oh, the Green Bay the Packers have a shot. Mathematically, they have a shot, but in my eyes, they don't have a shot. They're gonna lose to Miami this weekend, and that's gonna be the end of that. It's gonna be the end of that talk. Go ahead and put them out of their misery. Green Bay is time to reset. Some teams are time to reset. Look out for the Chargers. They're on the horizon. I think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs some way, somehow, because the players are determined. They coach put them in some more compromising situations in their win against Tennessee, but they were able to pull it out. So I just say, you got to look at of the game. Just because the Packers beat up on the Rams, the Chargers ended up winning the game 17-14 against Tennessee. But that game was pretty much, decided in the last few moments, and the mistakes by Tennessee. It's uncharacteristic of the things they got going on right now. And what about the Broncos? With Rippon as the quarterback or whatever, but they try to win. They finally put up some points. Clap for the Broncos for finally scoring some touchdowns. They put up 24 points. You got to give them credit for that. And what about the Saints? The Saints finally got a win, even though they were playing against the declining Falcons, who were going to have a great year, but they don't look. It looks like it's over for them. And the Texans took the Chiefs to overtime. Those that say the Texans, even myself, like they finding ways. Now they are still finding ways to blow the games in the end, but it seemed like they're competing, and it seemed like they may be strong. But I guess the big game for the weekend was the Lions. The Lions in the game. Gotta say that the Jets were pitiful coming down the stretch. Wilson, he started right here, and it was a down game for him. He didn't look as good as Mike White looks. I'm gonna keep that there, not to keep harping on something. But Zach Wilson got to play, and they took a loss. So it doesn't seem to matter who's at quarterback for the Jets right now. It just seems like they've come back down to earth, and they're crashing fast. They need to figure out a way to stop that. But like the mismanagement of the clock going towards the end, and the poor excuse from the coach, from the head coach, it was like, yo, you probably could have gained a few more yards if you use your timeouts properly. I might have ended the game with timeouts. It didn't make any sense to me that you would hold timeouts. You had 3 of them going into the stretch. It was probably important to use those, and then you might not have had to kick a 58-yard field goal. You might have had to kick a 40-something yard field goal, or a 50-yard field goal, even, or a 52-yard field goal, other than a 58-yard field goal if you use your timeout. But Detroit, man, they coming on strong. I think Detroit might make the playoff. I mean, you don't know, like. It's 7 spots. And when I talked all that noise a few weeks ago about Detroit, not when were they going to get over the hump? When were they going to turn the corner? And then these last weeks, shut up. They like, shut up. People's coach, they like, shut up. Got you. They doing their thing. So hey, what can I say? But now I'm gonna get into some of the picks. Tomorrow's game, Jaguars Jets. That's gonna be a good game. But I'm taking the Jaguars. I'm taking the Jaguars. I think they feel like they have a realistic shot, as well as the Jets. Now the Jets. This is going to be like a playoff game on a Thursday night. The Jaguars coming in because they know who their quarterback is. Trevor Lawrence is playing some good football. Zay Jones, Marvin Jones. They coming with a little something on the offensive end right now. As far as picking. So Peterson is doing a good job. And if but my coach of the year right now, is Sirianni for the Eagles. If the Eagles stay on top the way that they are, but a close second for me, Kevin O'Connell with the Minnesota Vikings is doing a good job. But for me, it's Dan Campbell, what he's doing with the Detroit Lions. Didn't expect them to play the way that they playing. So, hats off to them. I didn't know Dan Campbell was the man for the job, but I think he's getting it done. But like I said, I'm taking the Jaguars in that. I'm taking the Jaguars in that game. The Falcons and the Ravens. The Ravens, even though I don't think playing absolutely no offense without Lamar Jackson. It's like they're pitiful without Lamar Jackson. They're not that great offensively with him as far as in totality. He's a show, but definitely he's the catalyst to that team because they couldn't even really hardly get a first down. And the Ravens couldn't hardly get a first down. Even I myself said Huntley plays all right, but no, he doesn't. He's not winning. He's not winning when he fills the role. Last season he didn't win. This year he's not winning when he fills in for Lamar Jackson. Terrible way for them to go out. Hopefully he's back soon. So the Lions and the Panthers. They both feel like they got something to play for. Still running NFC. Or maybe should. I like what Campbell is doing, but I'm going for the Lions. Which this past game, Carolina was a letdown. I thought they had a chance to win, and then they beat. So I'm taking the Lions. Head up on Saturday, and then Seattle. The Seattle and Kansas City. It's over for Seattle. I give up on Seattle. I'm going with Kansas City. I think the Chiefs are going to win that game easily. It's be close. Castle has been so up and down, and now their defense has disappeared again. So I think their defense gonna stay on. It's not the Browns. I'm gonna give that win to the Browns. I think the Browns will beat the Saints. Deshaun Watson starting to play a little bit better. Texans and Titans. The Texans can't seem to win a game. No matter what they do, they seem to blow it in the end. So Titans is what I'm going for. Bengals, Patriots. The Bengals and the Patriots is going to be an interesting game, but I'm taking the Bengals. The Bengals seem to be the better team. The Patriots don't make great decisions, including the head coach who has Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator. I'm going to leave that alone. Giants and Vikings, though. In that game, I'm going to go with you know, Vikings. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants won that game, but I'm gonna take the Vikings. I think I just think the Vikings understand. I think Justin Jefferson will have a big game against that Giants defense. Do what the Commanders couldn't do. They just throw the ball. I think Kirk Cousins is a little bit better of a quarterback. Now the Bills, Bears, the Bills. I'll go now. Stick with the usual that people stick with. Even though I think the Bears played pretty good, they played Philly pretty hard, but then they end up losing anyway. I don't think the Bears are trying to win, so that's why I stick with the Bills in that one. The Commanders 49ers. 49ers, what they doing to teams is ridiculous. They beating teams up. But I think it's a wrap for the Commanders. So I think the 49ers are going to go ahead and win that game. But the Commanders are going to put up a fight. Heineke is going to try to put up a fight, which I'm hearing rumors that if Heineke doesn't get it done this game, then they might go back to Carson Wentz. Man, go back to Carson Wentz if you want to. Don't have a chance to win at all. I don't understand these coaches, and I don't understand guys like Carson get chance after chance after chance. It's like, dude, it's been proven that you're not going to be solid. And, so in the late window games, the Eagles Cowboys for Saturday, Christmas Eve, I'm taking the Cowboys in that one. Jalen Hurts has a sprained shoulder. He may play, he may not play. I don't think, but I think the Cowboys, if the Cowboys lose this game to Gardner Minshew, Gardner Minshew led Eagles, I think it's already are going to win that division. If the Cowboys had handled business um, this past Sunday against the Jaguars, then we would be having a different conversation. My mood would be different about this game that's coming up, but it's not as big of a game as it was going to be if the Cowboys won. It's like, yeah, it's like it's a done deal. Yeah, it's finished. The Eagles are now going to be not only on top of the division, I think they're going to end up with the number one seed overall. Um, you're talking about not taking advantage of situations, but that's what it pays to be a diehard fan of your organization, your organization with the respect and with respect to the Cowboys. Sometimes we got to fix that. I said that earlier, but I'm still saying it because that was just inflating. Now, the Raiders and the Steelers. The Raiders got to win. It's avoided overtime with that win, with that crazy win. But I think in that game, I'm taking the Steelers. I think the Steelers are playing for pride. Well, both teams probably playing for pride right now, but I think the Steelers are going to want that game a little bit more. And the reason why I say the Steelers are going to want it a little bit more is Tomlin. They know what's at stake. Tomlin trying to keep that streak going. So I know his pep talk is going to be something serious. Like, I don't lose. You know what I'm saying? I never had a losing record at the end of any season. I don't want to start now. I mean, that should probably be his talk right there. And Mitch Trubisky played all right this past game, but I heard Kenny Pickett's coming back or something like that. So maybe they can pull that win out with the rookie. Packers Dolphins. I'm going to take the Dolphins in that game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers won that game. The Dolphins are declining, but I think this game right here helped them at least solidify the fact that they're going to make the playoffs or something. Like, I think they got 8 wins. This would be so they win this game, they get 9 wins, and they can't have a losing record. 9-8 should get them in the AFC. Should get them in the playoffs in the AFC. So I think this is going to be the game to get the Dolphins in because I don't think they're going to win. Since they both divisional games, I think they got the Jets and the Patriots or something like that, or whatever they have coming up on the end, the Dolphins. So I think this game right here is it for the Dolphins. They lose this game, then they can forget about playoffs. And then we could say, whoa, they got off to a hot start, and then they trailed off in the end. What's up with two? Like, what happened to all that high-powered offense? Like I said, I told you before, you put some hats on them boys, you push some boys around, get up on Tyreek Hill and Waddle at the line of scrimmage. They ain't doing damage like they was before. Like, people done figured it out. They smaller, so you can get up on them. And if you get hands on them within the first 5 yards, you change everything for Miami. Even they're not prepared for that. They're not prepared for you to get up on them. If you stop playing 20 yards back, giving them 12 to 15 yard cushions and play up on them, it changes everything. And plus, put a little smoke up under the quarterback, put a little fire up under the quarterback. So the Broncos and the Rams, that's another game that's meaningless. Some of these games, as a fan, and I'm gonna pick the Rams. I say Baker Mayfield gets his second win as the Rams quarterback. Because the Broncos, I still don't think they can put up offense consistently, even though that defense played good. They defense was a touchdown. I'm taking the Rams, and then the Buccaneers and the Cardinals. About two teams that have been, man, not what you expected them to be. Let's go. Two teams that have been trash, two teams that have been just junk this year. So, but I'm gonna take the Bucks. And I don't know why I'm taking the Bucks, but I'm gonna take the Bucks. I think some quarterback McSorley or something. I never even know whoever gonna be starting for the Cardinals. That's the only reason I'm taking the Bucks. Is because I don't know who the quarterback is for for the Cardinals. Like Colt McCoy is in so I guess McSorley, whatever his name is, he may surprise. Off-brand quarterback to go good for one. And Tampa Bay played pretty good in the first half of the other game. They just got to play 60 minutes like that. Now the Chargers and Colts, to me, that's going to be a closer game than everybody expects. But I'm taking the Chargers. I think, like I said, I think the Chargers players have said, we have a coach that's not trying to put us in winning situations, so we're going to win games on our own. We're going to figure out a way to win these games, and I think that's what Herbert and the rest of those dudes are doing. They just said, taking it into their own hands, saying, never mind the coach. We do have enough talent to win games, and I'm glad that they realized that. Because they seem to come out of the most compromising situations for him. Yeah, it's McSorley. McSorley, but is it going to make a difference? Who's that quarterback? Because the Cardinals, they done for. I've talked about that before as far as Staley. I mean, not Staley. As far as Kingsbury goes, his job being saved. I think last week. I still stand by that. I was saved because of Kyler Murray's injury. That's the only thing that saved this man's job in my mind, because they're just not producing with all that talent. And I wonder if guys like B Hop and Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz, I wonder if those guys are gonna start screaming to get up out of Arizona or something, to go somewhere where their careers are not being wasted, where you want to win. Because I know they came together thinking that, hey, with Kyler Murray, they had something to win with. But my problem is, even with a healthy Kyler Murray, if you just have to run, we said before, you got to be able to pass the ball when you do. And I think that's the problem. When your quarterback has to run way too much, which is what Kyler Murray has to do in order for them to be successful at all. The pocket. He's not that good. He got to roll out a lot. He got to run the ball a lot. And, that's not effective ball. I see these teams running all these screens and all this other stuff. I wonder why Arizona doesn't do that. Run screens, get the ball out quicker to their playmakers. You got all these playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and you don't want to get them the ball. I think, it comes down to coaching. There's more than one way to skin a cat, instead of putting all the pressure on Kyler Murray. But as long as he had all the weight on his, they were not successful. You had a running back, James Conner was going to be it, but he's not it. So figure out the running situation, run by committee, like a lot of these teams, 2-3 running backs. Like New England, sure, they run with everybody. Some of them people, it's like, where do they come from? But that's what I'm saying. You have to build a team for that. Like, if you want, I mean, you have to do what it takes to be successful, and that's the problem right there, is that they aren't built for it because they're not trying to be successful. It's like they satisfied with Kyler Murray being that guy to run, but you can change it up a little bit. I mean, I think it's nothing to say, hey, I'm going away from my traditional scheme, and we're gonna implement these plays over here. We go over here. I mean, you have a whole season to figure things out sometimes, and it's all your receivers at times. So why not throw the ball to the receivers as quick as you can? Get it in their hands. Stop having your quarterback make all these long drop backs in the pistol. I mean, this guy is dropping back and rolling out in the shotgun. You're already in the shotgun. Throw the ball. throw the ball would be my philosophy. It worked. It worked for the GOAT for a lot of years. You ain't the most live if the ball travels in the air quicker than anybody can move, or quicker than handing it off and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, but what I'm looking at is but you gotta have it's not just Connor. You got a whole squad. I don't think that I just think it's my knock against Kingsbury that he's not a good coach. Not a good coach for that team. Too much sticking with his own things. They trying to stick with what has worked for them, but it hasn't worked. Like it worked a portion of a season. They got hot last year, but you saw it didn't work in the playoffs, and it didn't work all this. So what's working? I mean, they sticking with they doing what worked for them because it's not working. I mean, that's the point. You got to switch it up. It ain't working. It worked a little bit last year, but it hasn't worked since. It's like you gotta like. I think that's the thing. I think that's I'm in as far as and teams up. Like on one end, I was going heavy at look at Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has figured out that hey, I might as well play to my strength offensively. Good evening. Yeah, was going to be a good coach, but he got the Lions playing. And the reason why he has the Lions playing the way they playing is the confidence level. You can see Jared Goff has this confidence about him. Don't know where that came from, nor why. But the defense is starting to wake up a little bit. They still got problems on the defensive end. They still could give up points, but they playing better ball. It's like and that's be able to come back. Take another step. At least be back in the playoffs. At least be ready to try to win a playoff game. But they've regressed, and that's a direct result of the coaches. Now you look at McDaniel down in Miami. I'm not going to say it was fool's gold, but the way Miami's fall off now, it's like they stuck. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's not going to be a hot seat. I think like I said, Kingsbury's job is safe. I think a lot of these jobs are safe. Which next week, as teams start to wrap up, I have my list of coaches I think should go this year next. But that's for the next show. Oh, this show is just pumping it up about some of these coaches that I'm starting to see right now that they're not panning out. Or they might need to switch places and stuff like that. Like we starting to see McDaniel down there in Miami. Uh, hey, they got to switch it up too because now that teams have realized you got to counter with something. Now that teams have realized your weaknesses and they plans. And you think Kingsbury done? I don't think he's done. I think that injury saved his job. Yeah, Campbell is safe. I think Campbell. You can put him in for coach of the year for me. I said on the show. I think he should be coach of the year. Campbell. I think he should be in the running for coach of the year. And I know McDaniel's down in Miami will be safe. I'm just saying a little bit. I know you got all the skills, but right now you might want to shorten some of those. Shorten up some of those routes. A little bit more shallow crosses or something. Not that you don't run enough of those already, but a few more of those because they coming at Tua now. Now that they realize that your offensive line is not that strong and they realize the weaknesses in your offensive line, what is your counter attack to make sure that they don't keep Tua's face? And because how many times Tua gonna put up numbers 10 for 28? I mean, putting up pitiful numbers the last few weeks. The last few weeks they've been playing like that. Yeah, something shorter, something that gets the ball in the hands of the playmakers. The more you get the ball. Now, if your quarterback like Josh, playmaker, Patrick Mahomes is the playmaker for their respective organizations. Joe Burrow is definitely a great decision maker, but he knows when to get the ball in the hands of the playmakers. And you see, he trusts Chase, so he'll get that ball to him however he can. I mean, sometimes it's about the risk. The risk is worth the reward, and sometimes it's not. But at the same time, I think that you have decision makers. They have to know who's who. They have to know who to get the ball to, and I think that comes with the coaching. Is like, hey, my strength is these receivers that can run a long way, then I'm gonna get them the ball so they can run a long way. You know what I mean? Because you never know what's gonna happen. I think that Raiders Patriots game. Before I get out of here, I'm gonna say that should show you that anything and at any time, uh, teams panic is crazy. You know, you think so? Yeah, he's trying to live off the innovation, but and he is a good mind. You know, he was in San Fran. He had that San Fran offense humming. You know, he had them pretty good. Like they just didn't trust the quarterback as much as he quarterback right now. So I think that's the biggest difference. You know, they trust the quarterback. Um, so that's the show for today. I thank y'all for rocking with me. I'm just saying he had Seth Fran he had Seth Fran pretty like but they just didn't trust the quarterback. They didn't trust to throw the ball. They didn't trust Jimmy G. You see, that same offense he trusts. He got what's his name, Monster, whatever from them. He got San Francisco and doing pretty good. Yeah, thanks. Next week, Merry happy holidays there to everybody. We'll catch y'all after this. Thanks to Sports for America for putting on this Cornelius Cole. And don't forget to check me out at the Sim Show every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. iHeart, Apple Music, Tuned In, etc. Have a good one.